Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm glad to have the opportunity to present our paper in this meeting. The title of our paper is WiVo Enhancing the Security of Voice Control. This is a joint work done by Yanmeng Zichang, Wang Weizhang, Peilin Wu, Professor Zhu from Shanghai Jiaotong University, Professor Liang from UMass Boston, and Professor Liu from University of South Florida. Here is the outline of our paper. Firstly, I want to introduce the background. Recently, the concept of smart home is getting more and more attention, and the global revenue of smart home is undergoing a rapid expansion. There are some popular smart home platforms in our daily life, such as Google Home, SmartThings, and Echo. For the users to control their smart home devices, these platforms provide many user interfaces such as wireless communication, image sensing, and voice control. In these user interfaces, voice control has its unique advantages. It could enable the user to control the smart home devices remotely, and is convenient for the old and the disabled. So the voice control has been the primary user interface in smart home. VCS is voice control. VCS brings us convenience and benefit. However, due to the openness nature of voice signal, it's vulnerable to the voice spoofing attacks. The first type of voice spoofing is replay attack. In this attack, the attacker could deploy a recorder to obtain the user's voice samples, and then the adversary can utilize the loudspeaker to play the pre-collected voice samples to spoof the VCS. The second type of voice spoofing is hidden voice attack. It's based on the observation that most VCS extract the FMCC features from the voice samples to perform the speech recognition. So the adversary could generate some voice samples which are heard as noise by human, but it contains the user's FMCC features to spoof the VCS. The last attack is an inaudible attack. In this attack, the adversary can utilize some ultrasonics to generate some malicious voice commands. Because the ultrasonic is inaudible for humans, so this attack is most dangerous. In summary, the voice spoofing attacks impose a serious security challenge on VCS, so we need some countermeasures. We can see that the key point of countermeasure is detecting whether the voice commands are generated by real human or specialized machine, because these three spoofing attacks are all generated by specialized machine, such as loudspeaker or some powerful speaker. There are many countermeasures proposed to detect these attacks. The intuitive one is a password-based solution. It requires the user to speak some special password before he performs voice command. But this solution is not convenient for user, and it may be suffering from eavesdropping attack, so it's not secure. A more practical way is the two-factor liveness detection. The two-factor liveness detection utilizes the information correlated with the user's voice samples to detect whether the voice samples is generated by real human or not. The additional information could be the image, vibration, and so on. There are also many countermeasures. The first one is a camera-based solution. It combines the user's image and voice samples to detect the spoofing attack. The second one is acceleration-based solution. It requires the user to carry a specialized accelerator. When the user speaks some voice command, his skin will generate a unique vibration, which could be captured by the accelerator and to perform loudness detection. The final one is the ultrasonic-based solution. It requires the user to carry a smartphone which can emit ultrasonic. When user speaks his voice command, his mouse motion will generate a unique Doppler effect on the ultrasonic. These countermeasures are very effective, but they have some limitations. Firstly, they require the user to carry some specialized devices and hold these devices in a fixed manner. Then it may leak some user's privacy information. For example, the image-based solution could may leak the user's image information. So it's important to design a loudness detection framework without any additional device or sensor. Here is the goal of our paper, and I will introduce the motivation of our work. As mentioned before, to perform the loudness detection, the first step is to find the information correlated with the user's voice samples. So in our work, we notice that the user's voice commands always occurs with user's mouse motion. For example, when user speaks some voice commands, his mouse will generate some specific movement patterns. So we can regard the user's mouse motion as his loudness features. To capture the user's mouse motion, we can use many ways, but in this paper, we use the channel state information from the wireless signals to capture user's mouse motion. Why we use CSI in our scenario? Because it doesn't require the user to carry any device, and the wireless devices are prevalent in IoT environment, such as our smart home. In smart home, we have many smart devices which has wireless communication capabilities. So we can perform the loudness detection by checking the consistency between voice and CSI. First of all, we need to demonstrate that CSI can actually capture the user's mouse motion. So we perform a case study. In this study, we ask one user to some voice commands, and we use antennas and a microphone to collect the CSI and voice samples. We can see that in this picture, the user's voice samples are consistent with the collected CSI data. However, in the attacker scenario, we can see that the user's voice sample are inconsistent with the CSI data. It's because the malicious commands are generated by some specialized machine. So we demonstrated that wireless signals successfully capture the user's mouse motion, and it's possible to leverage the consistency between voice and CSI to detect the spoofing attack. I will also show another observation. Look at this picture. We can see that different mouse motion could generate different CSI changes. It demonstrates that we can divide the user's mouse motion into different types and use the different CSI features to represent these different mouse motion. So we can use this property to improve the accuracy of our loudness detection. So we need to address the following challenges. The first challenge is the impact of mass motion on CSI is subtle. We need to design some effective algorithm. The second challenge is how to correlate the CSI with the user's mouse motion and voice signal. The second challenge is how to select the features from voice and CSI signals. To address these problems, we proposed a wireless signal-based voice loudness detection framework, WiVo, and I will introduce the system design of WiVo in the next section. Here we will design some system design details. Our WiVo system consists of 4 modules. The first one is data collection, the second one is data cleansing and processing, the third one is feature extraction, and the final one is feature matching. Let's begin with the data collection. We can see Firstly, I need to explain the fact that most VCS need the user to speak some trigger to activate the VCS. For example, Amazon asks the user to say Alexa before the user perform voice commanding. So when VCS receive the trigger, our WiVo will start. WiVo will utilize a pair of antennas to collect CSI. These two antennas could be encrypted in the IoT devices. So the first antenna sends wireless packets such as Wi-Fi packets, and the second antenna could extract the CSI data from the primitives of the received packets. Then at the same time, we use microphone to record the user's voice. After that, we get the CSI and voice samples. But we can see that the CSI has many noise and the voice samples is needed to be addressed. So we use our second module to address the following challenges. Firstly, for the CSI data, we need to remove their noise. The first method to remove noise is wavelet-based denoising. For the CSI data, we break it into approximation and detail coefficients by using the wavelet transform. And then we use threshold method to remove the high frequency noise in the CSI data. But that's not enough. We notice that the CSI has totally 42 subcarriers in our scenario. So we can use PCA to extract the principal components from all CSI subcarriers. After wavelet denoising and PCA, most noise are removed. Then we can consider the collected voice samples. Firstly, we need to perform interword segmentation. Then we can perform syllable detection. For the interword segmentation, we notice that a voice command may contain several words. For example, the command open the door include 4 words. And we use double threshold method to detect the start and the end points of each word. Then we can divide the CSI into different CSI word data according to the time steps of the start and end point of each word samples. Then we perform the syllable detection. Why we need to perform syllable detection is because a word may contain different syllables, and the syllable may correspond to different mass motion. For example, the open contain 2 syllables and these 2 syllables are corresponding to different mass motion. To extract the syllable, we can use some advanced method. In our paper, MAUS is used. We can segment the voice samples into different syllables. Then we can use this method and interword segmentation method to divide the CSI into different CSI syllable data. Then we need to extract some features from both voice and CSI. Firstly, the first feature is word-based feature. We can see that because CSI is consistent with the voice samples, we can perform STFT to get the spectrograms of both CSI and voice. We notice that the counters between CSI and voice are consistent, but in the attack scenario, because they lack the user's mass motion, so the counters are inconsistent. So we can use the consistency between the counters to as the word-based feature. We use Pearson coefficient to calculate the consistency. Then we need to consider the syllable-based feature. As we mentioned in the motivation part, we can know that different syllables corresponding to different mass motion and corresponding to different CSI features. But using CSI to recognize every syllable is very difficult because the recognize capabilities of CSI is limited. So, but in our paper, we didn't need to recognize every syllable accurately. The only thing we need to do is checking whether the collected CSI contains the syllables in voice samples. So we can simplify our task. We can, as shown in this table, we can divide our syllables into different mouse motion types. Each mouse motion types contains several syllables, and we can see that the syllables belong to the same mouse motion type have similar time and frequency features, and the CSR features in different types are quite different. So we can extract the syllable-based feature. Firstly, we look at the time domain feature. We use the amplitude vibration as a feature, and we can calculate the similarity between the CSR amplitude vibration with its syllable types. Firstly, we need to pre-collect some CSR syllables before we perform to extract the time domain. Then for the frequency domain, we can find that the counters between different mass motion are very different. So we can use the counters as the feature. Similarly, we can calculate the frequency domain score, and we can combine the time and the frequency features to get the syllable-based features. This feature represents the similarity between the CSR feature and the corresponding mouse motion. Then let's look at the feature matching module. For a given voice command, we can combine the word-based feature and the different syllable-based features from all the syllables to get the final score. And we use the threshold method to detect the voice spoofing. If the final score is larger than the threshold, WiVo will think this voice command is generated by real human, and VCS will perform this voice command. Otherwise, VCS will refuse to perform this command. Now I will introduce the evaluation. We use one USRP with two antennas to simulate the smart devices in our smart home, and WiVo is incorporated in smart SIM platforms. In smart SIM platforms, all smart devices are controlled by application named Smart App. When we receive a voice command, it will ask WiVo to perform loudness detection, and WiVo will return the results, and VCS will perform the voice command. We use the true accept rate and false accept rate as the performance metrics. Firstly, we evaluate the performance of WiVo. 6 users are asked to perform the voice commands, and we use machines to perform voice spoofing attacks. We can see that WiVo could achieve about 99% TAR with 1% FAR. It shows that WiVo is effective in detecting the spoofing attacks. Then we evaluate the scalability of WiVo. In multi-user scenarios, it's difficult for us to collect each user's profiles. So a more practical way is to collect one user's profile and use this profile to perform the loudness detection for other users. So we use one user to provide his profile and ask another user to provide real voice commands, and we still perform some voice spoofing attacks. We can see that WiVo can also achieve about 19% TAR with 1% FAR. Finally, we evaluate the timeliness of CSI profiles. It's well known that the wireless channel is unstable, and the CSR may be affected by the environment change. So we ask one user to provide his profiles, and then ask him to perform the voice command after 12 and 24 hours, and we also perform the spoofing attacks at the same time. We can see that WiVo can still achieve the achieve the accuracy, achieve the high accuracy. Now I will introduce the limitations of our WiVo. The first limitation is the distance. If the distance between the antenna and the user's mouse is too long, the CSR cannot accurately capture the user's mouse motion. A potential solution is increasing the density of IoT devices. The second limitation is our WiVo cannot defend against the insider attack, because the insider attack means that the attacker could break into the user's house and perform malicious voice commands by his mouse. So we need more advanced wireless sensing techniques to defend the insider attack. Now I will conclude our paper. Firstly, we present WiVo, a two-factor based loudness detection system. Secondly, it's the first work to exploit wireless signals to enhance the security of VCS. Finally, WiVo achieves good detection accuracy and could be incorporated with IoT platforms such as SmartThings. That's all. Thank you. If you have any question, welcome to